Now, the Ministry of Lands and Forestry has also been giving further details on the background and facts about the gazetted in the wake of the public scrutiny into the alleged sale, reclassification, and other matters arising. My colleague Raymond Aqua joins me via Zoom with the full details of the document shared by the Lands Ministry for some public education. Well, Raymond Aqua, Head of Research Desk, has joined me in the studio with more. Let's first look at what the document is saying.
So, there was some controversy about why did we give the O family 361 acres in the most recent EI when right from the beginning of this conversation, we had actually desired to give them just 92 acres. It is that question, that outstanding question, which seems outstanding to the ministry. That's what they responded to. You do recall that in the earlier statement, they dealt with the issue to do with Kojo Usofriye's will. But this particular one traces history. It tells us how we acquired those two lands, first 1921 and 1927. Okay. Then how we moved it from the acquisition of these lands into paying for one and the other, no records showing that we are paid for it. Then we moved the process into now, during Kufuor's time, a petition received by the then government from the family of O demanding that they be given their due compensation, and they're giving them in the process. Now, it tells us in this report that the very final attempt by the Kufuor government to do this was in 2008. And November 24, there was an agreement. This agreement stipulated in part, according to the ministry statement, that some 92 acres was to be given to this family.
Okay.
Then subsequently, they could not do it because the Kufuor government left office. This was not executed. When Mills came in, a similar request was made. The people in the Lands Commission were also asked and tasked to do specific work related to this. Now, fast forward to the time in 2013 where government was given the opportunity to work on this program again. Under Yunus Afuseni as Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, the issue came up again. In the first determination by the Forestry Commission, the committee set up to deal with this, actually proposed 118 acres. But according to the statement from the minister, the Lands Commission released 148 rather. So the 118 was in the commission's report. Okay. 148 acres was what was released to the family.
That's in conflict with the commission's report.
Yes, so that is what they actually pointed out first. And proceeded to say that since that time, there's been various back and forth on it. As minister, he said when he came into office, the issue came up again. He asked for some subsequent work to be done. The first work was done by the Forestry Commission, which submitted the figure. Then the Lands Commission went ahead to go and do a site visitation and prepared a different site plan. Okay. It is this new site plan that made reference to the 361.5 acres. Is the reason why we had to finally agree on giving them the 361.5 acres. So this is to do with, why have we given them 361? He traces the history and brings her to the point that he, as minister, actually commissioned the very final leg of the work into it. And this is what the technocrats in the ministry came up with. That's for the Lands Commission, came up with the report on the 361.5, together with a site plan indicating exactly the site that's supposed to be given to the O family. That's de-gazetted in this particular case. The only outstanding part of this, which is done, is what reasons did they give for the 361? Because one of the questions that will be hanging is that we don't know, I mean, generally, the compassionate grounds and the other things have been said. But in their report, what does the report say is the specific reason for the determination of the 361? Okay. Is it the final case that we finally visited the place and realized that that's the land to be given them, or it was still on compassionate grounds? Perhaps that's the only outstanding part of what's left in the minister's statement.
So definitely they're putting out this information for a reason. What does the ministry seek to achieve by putting out this information?
There was the belief that government does not release lands to people, even if they own it or if they have to pay them for it, just because it's goodwill. That there could be some underhand dealings underneath all of this. He's basically telling you that the reason why we moved from giving them the 92, which was earlier determined, and under my tenure, we give them the 361.5, was not because I intended to profit from the process. Yeah. And mindful of what has happened with the release of Sir John's will, it looked like people suspected this was an attempt to inflate the acres to be given to the family so that government officials can benefit from it. He's basically saying that that was not the intent. We just followed the procedure and ended up where it's supposed to end up. And I am not a beneficiary. And he stated before as minister that he has not bought the lands and he was not interested in buying the lands. He's mindful of conflict of interest positions of the law in the country and will not proceed to have any interest at all in this. So this is to him a way of curing the suspicion that government increased the acreage from 92 to 361 so that it can benefit from the increase in there.
So, I mean, you heard from Martin Kpebu, who says that if indeed they want the public to trust the lands ministry, for instance, it must be very open and even actually go and show us the lands in question so that we know when we see people developing on those lands, then we know that they've not told us the truth. Now, what will putting out this information do to the raging debate of the Achimota Forest?
The interesting part is that the site plan that the minister says was submitted by the Lands Commission was not attached to this particular document. Perhaps that would have delineated exactly the area we are dealing with here and maybe put to rest the controversy surrounding exactly what piece of land are we dealing with and what happens to the rest of the piece of land and what happens to the forest reserve intent in the original conception. That is really what's missing in this. But beyond that, the minister believes that by putting out all of the information and telling you that I didn't start the job, I met it in office, I only continue to do this as expected of me as minister in the performance of my duties in here, and I have no personal or pecuniary interest in this. So this is basically what he sought to do with it. As to whether people believe from what he has put out there, well, it's up to them to judge anyway.
Raymond Akwa is head of our research desk. I mean, this is an issue that we'll be following. It's just started. We'll see the end to it. And Trust Your News will bring you all the updates that you need to know.